Hey team, it's your friend Lee, the Unorthodox Principal, and welcome to Dear Tup. We have had some of the most incredible letters and submissions, and we're just so thankful that you're here with us and hopefully, learn a little bit, laugh a little bit, gain a little wisdom, whatever you need, I hope you get. So let's just jump on in. So this is coming to us from Ohio. Here we go. Dear Tup. I have to move my classroom next year, and I am very upset about it. Why is my principal picking on me and making me move? I don't have seniority, but I still don't want to move. They claim that everyone has to make some changes, but I feel like my principal is singling me out. I am thinking about not moving my stuff and having everyone else just deal with it. Do you think that's a good idea? Thanks. To move or not to move, from Ohio. Well, dear, to move or not to move, you're probably not going to like the answer to this. You're going to have to move. But I want to explain the why. If I was the principal, I don't know your principal. I don't know if they're picking on you. I don't know the culture and the climate of your building. But what I do know is focusing on the collective whole. So my job as a principal was to make sure that our school was not only a well-oiled machine, but it was an institution of academia. We wanted to hold the highest expectations for everyone involved, myself, my teachers, my students, my families, the community. And I didn't work in, affluent neighborhoods. All of my schools have always been from alternative schools to Title I schools, but that was our mentality. That was my mentality. And so when I would come into a school and I would walk the building and I would look at everything within the building, I had to start putting the pieces together like a big puzzle to make sense. For an example, and this has happened in multiple buildings. I had a reading teacher who had a huge classroom and we had high enrollment numbers. And so we were getting ready, we got to add a new kindergarten section. And so having 14 kindergartners, which now is, I know, unheard of, that's been years ago, but we did use our title monies for classroom reduction. But it didn't make sense for a reading teacher who met with small group to be in this huge classroom. The size wasn't as big of a deal as a new teacher was moving into kindergarten with a new team. And so that classroom was right within the kindergarten team, and they need to be together because proximity matters. I don't really care what anybody says, it does. Whether they need to be, mentoring, collaborating, whatever, proximity matters. And so my teacher was really upset with me and she was mad and I was new and she came in and said she wasn't going to move her things. And I said, well, yes, you are. And this is the why behind it. I'm not making you move just to move. And that is something that is so important for principals to learn and for teachers to understand. No one likes to move just for the freaking sake of moving. It sucks, right? I don't want to move. And I moved like 13 times in like 3 years, like in my personal life, which is a train wreck. Kind of like a modern day gypsy. But I didn't want my teachers having to move and box their things up and relocate and uproot their things unless it was what was best for the collective whole. So to move or not to move, I don't want you to think that this is a personal attack. Probably other people are moving or they're doing it in phases. Another example is I had 9 sections of second grade in a huge building. And some were in this hallway and some were in this hallway. And they were in pods and there was a huge disconnect within the grade level. They needed to be together. They needed to be cohesive. And to do that, they had to come closer together in proximity. And I communicated that with them early on my first year. Like, we're going to make these changes. These changes have to happen. I know it's going to be brutal. So guess what? We're going to try to get these new room assignments out as early as possible. We're going to be able to have our maintenance help with the moving and all of that before summer break hits. And as big of a pain in the rear end as it was, or pain in the neck or whatever, everybody was happier. Because it made sense, because they could see the plan, they could see the vision. They didn't think it was a personal attack on themselves. They weren't emotional. It wasn't their character. It's what was best for the entire school building. Now, my maintenance folks and my custodians were not always happy with me because it was a lot of work on them, but it was also a time for us to come together, and those big decisions had everybody around the table, and so it made it, almost like a group decision. And so I want you to think of that. No, it's a terrible idea for you not to move your things. That's a terrible idea. But you can go to your principal and maybe inquire about the why, get some more information. But do not just not move your things. That makes you kind of look a little selfish, maybe a little immature, maybe a little catty. And you don't want that. You're not like that, right? And so you've got to be a team player because it takes a village. It takes all of us. And so my hope is that you're not being picked on. My hope for you is that your new classroom will be wonderful. You will create new memories, and you'll be able to maybe clean out some things and cleanse things that you don't need anymore. Maybe pass those along to some newer teachers. But the bigger picture here is for you, is it's not to move or not to move. You've got to think through some things. Your excellence, what you're doing for kids, educating kids, building relationships for kids, hopefully, preparing them, for the next grade level and for life, and loving them can happen anywhere. When I started teaching, I was on top of a bus garage, and I was either high on fumes coming up from the bus garage, or deciding if I wanted to walk in my classroom or not because I was afraid I would see like a mouse or a rat, on top of like my kids smelling like a bunch of stale smoke and drugs and things like that. But that was one of my favorite years of all time, because it wasn't about the space. It was about the magic that you can create within any space. And I've said that for years. We don't need a state-of-the-art building. The magic can happen in a barn, or on the sidewalk, or, in the bus garage. So think about that. You carry your magic wherever you go. You carry your craft wherever you go, and your students are lucky to have you. And that's what we need to focus on right now. So I know moving sucks, but be a team player, pull up by the bootstraps and make it happen, and know that you make the difference and you are the magic. I hope that helps to move or not to move from Ohio. And I love you. I don't want you to think I'm picking on you or anything. I do love you. But don't forget to like and follow the unorthodox principle. And I'll always, don't talk about it, be about it. So move or not to move, I'm expecting you to be about it. You got this. See ya.